Greetings, everyone. Hello. We appear to be live, which is really, really good. Just checking everything's working all right. I've got that going, everything's sorted out. Hang on, let's put this on. And welcome to this watch party for the Doomsday Conspiracy. So it's a read party. Welcome to this read party for the Doomsday Conspiracy by Sidney Sheldon. This is the live stream, the third and final part of the read party trilogy. And this is the live stream. I've done. This is the first read only party I've done, I think, because I've done loads of watch parties, of course, and lots of watch, and I've done about 2 or 3 watch and read parties for books that have been made into movies. This is the first time I've actually done a read party for a book that has never been adapted into a film. It's just a book. And so I'll begin by saying a big hello to my friends who have joined me. Johnny Fettler. Well done. Oh, here we go. Well done, Johnny. How are you? I'm fine despite all the nonsense. Yeah, did you have a happy polling day, everyone? Hello, Angela. How are you? Hello, Tina Silva. Tina, I'm on chapter 38, book 2. Oh, Tina is, yes, Tina has actually read I think you've nearly finished the book now, haven't you? Hello, Della Farrant. How are you? And Bumbelina, welcome. Welcome. How are you doing? Popcorn boxing. Aren't you watching the football? No. I mean, no. England's tomorrow, I think. Everyone always asks me, check quickly. Check football. What's going on? What's happening in the football? Oh, right. Portugal and France. Goalless at half time of the quarterfinal. Right. So the first quarterfinal is underway. Now I'm not watching it. I'll watch the England game tomorrow. Well, I'll watch as much as I can of it. But welcome to Hachi. Hello, how are you, sir? How are you? I've got to email you, haven't I? France and Portugal, yeah, that's right. First, England are playing tomorrow, I know, against Switzerland, I believe. Popcorn boxing. Will Keir Starmer give disclosure? You asked me this on Twitter. Keir Starmer will not. No. You actually asked me, would Nigel Farage give us? Did you ask us if Nigel Farage was it? Because Keir Starmer, the answer is definitely no. But I think you said here, will the Reform government? Yeah, would Farage give us disclosure? I think Farage deserves one chance, but he's only getting one. He's only getting one. But Keir Starmer, not a chance. No way, never. But thanks all for joining you. Now, Tina has read the book, has nearly finished it. Hello, Grey Owl. How do you do? Good day, Benno. Good Sir Knight, how art thou? Slain dragons left, right, and centre, Grey Owl. Put a Y in chat if you've read this book. I mean, this won't affect the app. This won't affect the live stream. It's just I'm curious. I don't think anyone has. Tina, apart from Tina, who I think you've nearly finished it. Right. Tina, a large part of the book takes place in Switzerland. Toblerone now made in Poland. So Tina, of course, has. Yes, that's right. Udendorf. And now I didn't know what Udendorf was. I had to look it up. But it's the UFO that I mentioned in the review crashes in this place in Switzerland. So yeah. 69 Phuket. The show didn't appear in feed. Not again. I'm sorry, mate. That's bloody. It's like disappearing comments and things like that. It's a pain in the bum, it really is. Anyway, that there, you can see my hands are sort of disappearing, but that behind me is Udendorf. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it a lovely place? It's a municipality in Switzerland, what they call a canton in Switzerland, and it's lovely, yes. I'd love to go there. I'd love to go there, eat lots of chocolate, and bring home a cuckoo clock. And if anyone comes up to you with a sort of dark suit and sunglasses and asks you to open a bank account, just say no. Well, it's all good. You found your way here. That's nice, Mr. Growl, doesn't it? Yeah, that's cool. Hello, TK. How you doing? Yes, it's of course, as I explained in the review, this book is about a Roswell-type incident. In fact, in the author's note at the end, I don't think Tina's got to that yet. It may not even be reproduced in the audiobook. It is a free audiobook on YouTube at the moment. It looks like the pick on a Toblerone box. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. I am A-OK. That's nice to know, T. That's nice to know, TK. Hello, Rhiannon Raven. How are you? Greetings. How are you, Genjamin? I'm all right. I'm all right. Yes. Popcorn boxing. Wouldn't you prefer Davos in the background? No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. TK, Benjamin, that's me. You can. No one's called me Benjamin since my mum when I was a little kid. Benjamin, she used to call me in a Dutch accent. So yeah, this is a Roswell type event. This was a book about a Roswell type event, which Sidney Sheldon must have known about because he must have got the idea from somewhere to write this book. And I'm going to explore a little bit about Sidney Sheldon and his background. See if we can find out if there's any clues about how he came here. 69 if you get the Sound of Music. That's Austria, not Switzerland. TK, I'm channeling a Dutch accent. A dear, a female dear. That's Austria. Now, of course, the whole it's beautiful, isn't it, Grail? It's just I'd love to go there. It looks lovely, doesn't it? It's interesting. I'm going to look into a little bit of Sidney Sheldon and where his background and maybe his inspiration. All he explains is he got the idea to write this book from somewhere. It was published in 1991, and he did some research. He contacted the Hertaks. He actually the consultants were JJ and Desiree Hertak, who are a couple, a ufologist couple, whom I met actually. I met them at Contact in the Desert a few weeks ago. They were there. I didn't speak to them, but I sort of walked past them and saw them. Yeah, Sweeps Foxman, watching with a small group from our pub as we celebrate Nigel Farage on the show with Ben. Thumbs up. Thanks, Sweeps. Of course, where else can you be? Where else can you celebrate except a pub if you're a paddy? Eh? You've got to go to a pub if you're Irish. Good on you, Sweeps. Have one for me. Have a Guinness for me. Yes. Oh, Nigel did all right. Yeah. I mean, obviously we'll have to talk about the election, won't we? Because it's off topic. But did you all have a happy polling day? Did you enjoy it? I thought Sidney Sheldon was a woman. I don't think so. Looking at if you check his photo, I don't think he is. Hello, Tessa. How are you? Ta-da! Just appeared. Of course, if you know, I've got the results here for you. Let's have a look. Where is it? Where's the whole thing? No, hang on. Is there? I had a video of it down here somewhere. Oh, hang on. Here it is. Here we go. I was reading this. This is Morgoth's review. This is his article about it. But no, hang on. That's not it. Where was it? Here we go. Right, here we go. So, that's my local area. This is the full results here. It's pretty. Labour has 411 seats. They've gained 209. Tories 121. Not exactly 0 seats, but it's not a lot. If you see, they've dropped 244, including Jacob Rees-Mogg, Liz Truss. A couple of others have lost their seats. Loads of the cabinet are out. Lib Dems have gained 60. Lib Dems have 71 seats. They only got like 2.5 million votes, but they got 71 seats as opposed to Reform that had 4 million votes and got 5. But anyway, SNP have also lost 39. Yes, Sinn Féin the same, Independent same, DUP lost 3. Reform, yes, Reform got 5. It was 4, but then they had a recount. Rhiannon actually told me about this and thought, "Hey Ben, have you heard they're having a recount in Basildon?" I thought, "What? Reform might get it. There's only a handful of votes in it." And I thought, so I watched very carefully to see what would happen. I think were there 2 or 3 recounts, Rhiannon, I think, weren't there? But Leanne says, I don't like fiction, but don't tell Ben. He will be annoyed with me. Oh, it's all right. You don't have to. It's all right. You don't have to like fiction. What's the point of making things up when reality is weird enough? I'll come back to that point, Rhiannon, but that's a good question. I'll come back to that. But let's carry on with the results. Yeah, Green got 3 extra, so they now have 4 MPs. Plaid Cymru, the same. They've still got their, how much? Plaid Cymru still got their 4. And there's these other ones. There's these smaller Ulster, these smaller sort of Northern Ireland parties. And there's the Speaker, the dictator of his constituency. So what we have here is essentially a monopoly. It is. I've never seen one party dominate so much. If you actually add all these together, they come to less than. So Labour easily have a majority here, very, very easily. They have way over a majority, which means they're essentially dictators for the next. They're dictators for the next 5 years, and what's more, we don't know we don't really know what their manifesto is. I was reading through their manifesto earlier on. It just said things like, we're going to build a stronger Britain. We need change. We need to turn this country around. It's all these ridiculous cliches that have been used again and again and again, which all politicians say. And they could almost write themselves, and they have. And they do. They have written themselves. There's nothing concrete in their manifesto at all. They just say the usual things about, we're going to do this with tax and that. We're going to build 1.5 million houses. They all say that. They all say that every time. They never do. We will build 1.5 million houses. If every politician who said they were going to build 1.5 million houses actually built them, we'd have more. We'd have so many houses they would cover the entire earth, and you would have to put them on pontoons so they go over the sea, because the land surface will be covered in houses. But they never do. They never do. Yeah, definitely. It's So well, I mean, what they're going to do? I mean, as I said last night, as I said on Tuesday, they're going to go hell bent for leather on every single incredible Big Brother measure they can make, aren't they? They're going to go. So I don't know what's going to happen, but there's lots and lots of talk about how it's unfair that the thing is, the Lib Dems got fewer votes and more seats, and they said this: if we had proportional representation like they do on the continent, then things would be different. I mean, of course, this is why populists have done so much better in places like France, where it looks like Marine Le Pen is going to become the new prime minister. That's an election on Sunday, but that's because they have proportional representation. The thing is, though, we had a referendum for proportional representation in 2011 and voted against it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, hang on, if we have a referendum and it doesn't go the way we want, and we demand a second referendum, we've heard that before, haven't we? Yeah, I don't want to be a Ramona. But it is a stupid system. Essentially, every single constituency has its own election, and it's the winners of those elections that get to Parliament. Yeah. Anyway, there's Jess Phillips kept her seat. She was heckled. And I mean, yeah, I must say, you see, a lot of people are saying it's because they were the original forecast at the beginning of the evening was for Reform to get 13 seats, but this is based again, like I say, on share of the vote. But it's not the number of, under our system, you can win the popular vote and not get a single seat. I mean, it's possible to be a governing party and lose the popular vote. And indeed, we ended up with just 4. To be honest, when I heard that Reform had just got 4 seats, and when there was the 5th one, that was a bonus. Really, in Parliament, it really makes no difference whether you have 4 or 14. When you have such a massive super majority, it's a landslide victory from Labour. Really, I don't think the role of Reform in Parliament is going to be, well, we got enough people in there now, and they're going to have some real clout with the voting and things like that, and the legislation and voting on bills. No. That's never been the point of getting Reform into Parliament. Farage's point was to have a representation in there, to have people in there to use the fact that they have people in there to make a lot of noise, to say things and doing things which would get attention. And let's face it, it's very easy. If you're a charismatic person with a good message, you'll do that. Andrew Bridgen has achieved that in Parliament. He's just one man. He was an independent, and for ages and ages, he joined Lawrence Fox's party for a while. I think he's an independent again. He achieved that on his own. Do you remember that scene in Parliament where Andrew Bridgen is doing his address to Parliament? There's only about 6 or 7 of the guys in there because they're not discussing pay rises for the MPs, so they've all buggered off. And every time he's saying, people are cheering him. There was like a crowd of 1,000 people in Parliament Square. They were watching on portable TVs, and they're cheering him. That wouldn't happen with Sunak, would it? That wouldn't happen with Keir Starmer. Yeah. And so this is the role, I think, for the Reform MPs now, for Farage and others. Let's say Farage is a flamboyant, eloquent person. He can do that in Parliament. He can stand up in Parliament and say these things, and people will be outside cheering him on. Oh, and it's just it's like the criticism of the anarchists. The anarchists say, well, people criticize the anarchists because they say things like, well, if it wasn't for the government, what would happen? Criminal gangs would take over the society. What? Worse than the ones we have now? The worst criminal gang imaginable is already in control of our government. I mean, look at the House of Commons. The crime rate there, the crime rate among MPs is worse than the darkest, toughest estate in any inner city in this country. I mean, they've all got. You will go through the House of Commons. How many of them have got ankle bracelets? They've all got these ankle bracelets. It's like watching Ben-Hur. They've got these bloody ankle bracelets. They're crooks. Oh. Hello, everyone. Anyway, hello. I'm not going to go on about the election too much tonight. I'll come back to it when we find out exactly what we're up against. Anyway, I want to say hello to everyone. There's loads of people. Loads of people have joined. Yeah. And now Rhiannon says she doesn't about fiction. Yeah. Tina says, writer of dopey romance books, was very surprised to see he's male. Well, Sidney can be a girl's name, can't it? Yeah. But he did. All his books do have a romance element, including the Doomsday Conspiracy. There's a strong romantic element in that, which is Bellamy and his wife Susan, his estranged wife or his ex-wife who's married to Moneybags. But Rhiannon says here, what's the point of making things up when reality is weird enough? Good point. Because fiction it creates a kind of artificial reality that can say something about the real world. Now, it doesn't have to be allegorical. I mean, for example, George Orwell, as you know, wrote very allegorical stories, Animal Farm, 1984. I mean, people who've been through Animal Farm and they've attributed them to basically every powerful political figure in the Soviet Union at the time. But things don't have to be allegorical to be profound and to be meaningful. Lord of the Rings. I mean, Lord Tolkien always insisted that his stories were never meant to be allegorical to this world, to the world we live in. I mean, it actually quite annoyed me because I had a really lousy English teacher, Miss Cunliffe, her name was. I remember when I was at school, I hated school, and one of the worst teachers was someone called Miss Cunliffe. She wasn't actually like a nasty bitch who like shouted at me, but she was very gaslighty. Do you know what I mean? And she was always going on about nuclear bombs and nuclear war, and she was the one who showed us Threads, a horrible documentary that should never be shown to children. It's a docudrama that should never be shown to children. And she said, I think that Tolkien, what he meant by the Ring of Power was it was a symbolic of nuclear weapons, because he was writing that book in the 50s when the nuclear arms race began, and it was a criticism of that. And I thought, I didn't realize it at the time, but I thought, you stupid dumb bitch, how did you become a teacher of English? Anyone who studies English literature will know that this is contrary to everything that Tolkien meant. Anyway, she I don't know, old bag she was, yeah. Yes, Reform have a 5th seat in Basildon. There were 3 recounts, and Reform candidate got it on 98 votes. Rhiannon, always go out and vote, because you never know how close it's going to be. Yeah, interestingly, Reform also became second in guess how many constituencies? 98. That number, 98. I think 98 could be the new 17, if you know what I mean. I can't wait for the by-elections in those constituencies. So Rhiannon, to answer your point, I think what's the point of making things up when reality is weird enough? Because making things up is how we relate to reality as conscious thinking creatures. It is not for everyone. Obviously, for you may be an exception. But reading fiction, writing fiction is how we do it. There's a great actual documentary, Tolkien and Lewis. You get it on YouTube, where Lewis is having this discussion with J.R. Tolkien, who was his close friend. Popcorn boxing. What do you think of Keir Starmer pledging loyalty to Davos rather than Westminster? I think it's very obvious, and I'm surprised he said it so openly. Sweep said, "Put up the last attached photos I just emailed you. Will show just how no proportional representation in British elections." All right. Yes, for Sweeps you did, I believe. Yes. Let me just find the ones you sent me. But you did send me. Here we go. I'll have to download these, Sweeps. But yeah, I will. Let's see if I can download them. On this one. Yeah. Right. Anyway, I'll carry on while I'm waiting for these to sort of open. I'll carry on talking to people. I was great. It's great they got a 5th seat, isn't it? They overtook Plaid Cymru, yeah. And I found out. I mean, Rhiannon told me this as well, that Reform almost came second in Llanelli. One of the N98 is actually Llanelli, which I thought was a Plaid Cymru heartland. Yeah, that's very, very encouraging. I must say. Let's just. I'm just going to open this. Okay. Oh, this is what Sweep sent me. Farage, now an MP, Reform Party took 14% of the vote, draining Tory support with over 4 million votes. Beat Lib Dems, but no proportional representation. Yeah, that's right. They got 4. Yeah, they got almost twice as many votes as Lib Dems. Oh no, that's something different. Oh, that's upgrading my tinfoil hat. Yeah. That's it, right? Okay. Let's have a look here. Is there any more sort of things here? Let's have a look. Any more of interest? One sec. Sorry, guys. We'll be with you in a moment. All right. So let's just go back through your comments now. Thanks for that, Sweeps. Popcorn Boxing says, "Yeah, I'm surprised you even said it. I mean, they're not really hiding anyone. They've broken cover." Hello, Johnny Fettler. How are you? Hello again. Actually, they'll build mansions for all the wealthy at a discount, of course. Hello, Dennis. Never voted. Dennis Carr. Never voted in my life. Welcome, Dennis. How's you doing? Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. Hello, DJ B2, my companion. DJ B2. Funny enough, I went on to Sargon of Akkad's Rumble stream to follow the election. I was sort of nipping between them and GB News, because every so often they would have an interlude with music, and I would nip over to GB News. But DJ B2 was in the live chat. I think I went. Did I go to bed before you did, DJ? I don't know what time you went to bed, but I remember I said good night to you, and I went to bed. I think about 3 a.m. or something. And because I had to work today, you know, I couldn't stay up for it. But you were just we were just in there. That was nice. You were there, DJ. It was nice to bump into you unexpectedly. What do you think of Keir Starmer congratulating Rishi Sunak on being the first Asian Prime Minister? He hasn't even got through the door of number 10. He's already doing the identity politics thing. I think he's starting as he means to go on, Rhiannon. Yeah. I mean, basically, what Starmer's going to try to do now is going to take all the sort of woke stuff. That's what is it? I said. I talked about it the other day. I talked about it the other day, and I mentioned a list of things. Yes, I said I'll show you it. I'll show you the screen here. When they get into power, Labour are going to go hell-bent for leather on every Big Brother, tax-raising, wage-slashing, wokist guilt-shaming, boat-welcoming, man-hating, white people-hating, child-hating, EU joining measure they can think of, or they're going to try. Yeah, they will, if they can get away with it. That's what they will do. Yes, that's what they will do. Yes. TK, she definitely won't win. Who's that? Who's she? Who's that? Who's that, TK? DJ B2. Starmer's cabinet has been thoroughly penetrated by the WEF. DJ, I think that's a bit like saying that a piece of seaweed on the bottom of the sea has been slightly dampened by seawater. I'm sorry I didn't get any notifications. I actually deliberately sent notifications to a couple of people because, including Sweeps, because he often has this problem. YouTube don't tell you when I'm going live. Purple unboxing. Proportional representation won't change anything. Shells like Le Pen still get in. Popcorn boxing is channeling his inner backslapper. It's a shell. She. That's who you mean, TK. She definitely won't win. Right. I think what's happening is there's a new coalition been formed to try and stop her becoming prime minister. But if they succeed, there's no doubt that the Rassemblement National is going to have a huge number of members, though. I mean, even if she doesn't become prime minister, her party is going to is going to really fill the legislature. Yeah. Where's she? Oh, hello, Hugo Rune. Can someone call Hugo Rune? Here he is. Speak of the devil. Here he is. Nihilist lives matter. Farage is a genius at asymmetric politics. Yeah, he is, isn't he? Grey Owl. A recent quote that seems to be clanking around, banging pots and pans from deep down in the old catacomb. What's that? Is that the wine cellar of this Grey Owl's thoughts of late is one that you may have heard. It goes something like, the bomb already went off and we are the mutants. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'll have to skip through a few of these. Sorry, guys. But anyway, Rhiannon says, Ben, did you see the hecklers who sneaked into the Reform Party press thing? They need to up the security or I fear someone will try to take Nigel Farage out. Yeah, I did. Maya Tusi was streaming it live because he was in the room. Yeah, basically there was a press conference and a load of sort of like protesters got in and they started yelling, hurling abuse at Nigel. Nigel laughed it off. He said, you're boring, you're drunk. And there'll be plenty of beer later and things like that. Nigel always laughs these things off. But yeah, Nigel's going to need security. I mean, he's already got quite good security. For example, he has an armoured Land Rover he goes around in. It's just quite. When he was at Clacton the other day, he stands up in this. Turns up in this big Land Rover, which he needs. He used to go on the top of a bus till people actually started throwing bricks at him one day. So yeah, romantic fiction. Pass me the sick bucket. Yeah. Oh, Commander Bellamy is so naive, says Tina. I'm glad we're back on topic now, Tina. Thanks. Yeah. I think he seems to be. He reminds me a bit of myself, actually. He's quite emotional, and he finds it hard to. He gets attached to people, and he finds it hard to let go. You know, he tends to sort of, carry the flame a little bit too much, I think. I mean, I personally. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say what he said to Susan on the phone, because when he was phoning Susan, he's saying, they have this conversation. Of course, she's with Moneybags, Mountebanks, her husband, And he says, I love you. I'll always love you. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that to someone in that situation, even if it were true. I wouldn't say it. I think I would have a bit more self-respect. But naive, yes, he is a bit. I mean, for a guy who's a secret agent and sort of like knows the inside and out of the intelligence world, he doesn't suspect it. Well, he does eventually, but it takes him a while to suspect that eventually, they're going to come for him. So yeah, Tina. Yes, he is naive. Yeah. Hannah Raven. I was 10 when I watched Threads. It was emotionally harmful. It gave me friggin' nightmares. Hello, Taj. How you doing? I told you Labour by 60%, Ben, and they got 60% of the seats. You did it, but it wasn't really much. I mean, it was pretty obvious it was going to be something like that, Taj. Yeah, I mean, I predicted between 400 and 500 seats, and I was right. It was at the lower end. That was 410 is at the lower end of what I predicted, but I said 400 to 500 seats based on the opinion polls. Labour got about 9 million votes. Yeah. But I thought the Tories. I hoped Reform would get more and the Tories would get less. I know it wouldn't be 0 seats, but I thought it might be under 100. I did think it might be under 100 seats. I did. Grail, BBC or someone did a big production of newscasts as though nuclear war had begun. It was just sick in the head. Mr. Grail, these things came out at the end of in the mid 80s. There was a whole series of TV programs, dramas, films. Not just in Britain, but there was The Day After in the United States. You can watch that on YouTube. It's just horrible. Designed to scare people basically into agreeing to end the Cold War, because it was planned. The end of the Cold War was planned when Mikhail Gorbachev in 1978 went to the Rockefeller Foundation and he was basically told, you're going to be the next general secretary and president of the Soviet Union, and basically we're ending the Cold War. We're going to move it on to another phase. It was not one thing that they did plan was for the Soviet Union to remain, which didn't work. The Soviet Union collapsed, which was not intended by the Illuminati. But apart from that, basically the whole thing was rigged. And these TV shows you mention, which Mr. Grey Owl has just mentioned, were a part of that. 80% of the UK population did not vote for a Labour government. That's British voting system for you, exactly. 4 million people voted Reform. They got 5 seats. Yes, that's just. Well, originally it was 4, which is just originally. I was thinking to myself, that's 1 million people per seat. That's nothing. But then, of course, it was 5, but it's still nothing. Yeah, as Taj says, Lib Dems got 3.5 and got 70 seats. Reform got 4 million and 5 seats. Yeah, this is because under the system we have, the Lib Dems have they are concentrated in a few certain areas. Those 3.5 million voters are actually only in a handful of constituencies. Those basically between those 70 or 80 or so constituencies. Yeah. Stuart. Hi, Stuart. How you doing? Nihilist Lives Matter. I hope Le Pen invades and liberates us from Labour. Well, if she doesn't, I mean, as I said, there's things are going to. France, as I said, France is naturally an unstable society, and France is naturally an unstable society, and things could happen there, which would mean France gets invaded from within, basically. Hugo, just dropping in for a chat. Okay, mate. Well, I'm growing cannabis. Of course you do, don't you? 3 huge mega corporations own 98% of everything. Yeah. Hang on. Reform came second in a lot of places, Ben. No, to Nestle is not applied, it's Labour. But Caerphilly is applied stronghold, but Reform still did well there too. Oh, great. That's great. Caerphilly is where Carmarthen is, which is near you. So Nestle, Labour. Right. Well, Labour applied. I mean, they're both arseholes. And I'm glad Reform have sorted them out. But anyway, hopefully there'll be a by-election there at some point. Hello, Diego Rivera. We're doomed. DJ, I went to bed around 10 in the morning. Oh my God, I'm impressed. I was very drunk. I have a bad hangover. All right. Well, I mean, I had some wine. I actually finished my bottle of wine. Yes. 69 Phuket. Whenever I voted, I always felt I was betraying myself. I wouldn't feel guilty about it. Don't let any backslapper make you feel guilty about voting. If you feel it's the right thing to do, and you say, well, maybe it's worth voting for this party because, as I said on Tuesday night, the last live stream, we have to tread a narrow path between excessive cynicism and excessive naivety. But if some backslapper comes up to you and says, "Oh, Phuket, you fool, man. It's a psyop and they're all controlled. Every single one of them are controlled, man. And only I can see it because I'm superior to you and you're naive. You're naive and you've been fooled by shills." Just tell them to go fuck themselves. Honestly, do what you feel is right. And don't let anyone talk you out of it. TK, is the Illuminati involved in the election? Yes. Keir Starmer, net zero tyrant. Oh, God, it's going to... Yeah, I mean, you see, as Morgoth said in his article, they're going to be much more brazen about everything than the Tories were. And that could be good, actually, because there was always this kind of sentimental attachment to the Tories that basically they were patriotic and things like that. They're not at all. TK says Marine Le Pen won't win. 100%. You're 100%. All right. Well, it does look like, TK, it does look like the establishment is regrouping and they're going to join forces to unite to stop her. Now, I mean, if I was a French person voting, I'd think to myself, that will actually discourage a few voters. So I'm not 100% sure she won't win. I think it's likely that the establishment will unite. They're forming a new coalition and stuff like that. But because she's ahead in the polls. I mean, at the moment, in the first round, her party was way ahead. But of course, in the second round, they could do what they did with her father. The centrist establishment will then join forces to just stop her. That's a possibility. But I mean, they won't stop her. What they'll do is they can prevent her becoming prime minister. They cannot actually prevent her from winning a lot of seats in the Assemblée Nationale, which is going to have an effect. So in that way, she will win. One way or another, she's going to win. Even if she doesn't get quite a majority, she will win. It's a victory for her just to have that presence in the assembly. She's already won in a way, TK. She's aiming to be president. She will go. That's the next stage, as president for her. And the thing is, what's going to happen is Macron is going to be whatever the outcome of this election. I mean, it's already. There's no doubt at all that he's going to be a lame duck president after this. Even if somehow the two centrist parties who are actually rivals themselves join forces and try to explain to their voters why they're doing it and expect the voters to vote for them and say, look, I mean, I know we don't like each other normally. We've been telling you to vote for us and hate the other, but we have to join forces to stop Marine Le Pen. If I was one of their voters, I'd say, no, I'm not going to be manipulated like this. I'll either stay at home or I'll vote for Marine. But even if they succeed in doing that, he's going to be. Macron is going to face a hostile assembly. Now that will make it very difficult for him. And people are saying he might have to resign, and there'll be an election even sooner. Hello, Dave Yorkshire. How are you? I've actually met Marine Le Pen. She's very unpleasant and saves her smiles for the cameras. Right, well, Dave, whatever she's like as a person, this politicians do that, don't they? They do. They do, yes. I actually saw Marine Le Pen. I just sort of waved to her as she was walking. She was walking out of the Oxford Union, and I sort of waved at her and just said, "Madame," I said, "Bienvenue Oxford." She didn't hear me though. There was a whole load of policemen across the street, across Cornmarket Street. She didn't hear me. Rhiannon. Ben, why are you in the Austrian countryside? It's actually Switzerland. It's a place called Uttendorf, which is where the Doomsday Conspiracy is set. And yeah, Dave says, I imagine a lot. Oh, that's Rhiannon talking about the politicians. Yeah, nihilist. Nigel's like Obi-Wan. You strike him now, and he'll only get stronger. Rhiannon, one of the mistakes people make is to vote for people because they like them. Politics is about policies and not personalities. Yeah, I would. Yeah. TK, is prostitution legal in Las Vegas? Yes, it is. It is across all of Nevada. Not if you're implying that somehow that was something that I tried. No, I didn't. I didn't. This is a big mistake with Bob Lazar because people call Bob Lazar a pimp. No, he wasn't. Bob Lazar faced a prostitution charge, but it was a far lesser charge than he'd get anywhere else. He was simply he was involved with installing CCTV cameras in a brothel. And he faced a corruption charge. But he wasn't. You see, it's not people say, well, this is as bad as if it was an illegal brothel in London or something. It's not. No, it's not. Dave, in Vienna, when she was attending a meeting of several populist parties in about 2016, I spoke to her in a hotel there. Yeah. Hello, a crafty nihilist. Hello, how are you? Those YouTube mofos have unfortunately banned, or they put the Crafty's channel under suspension. Scumbags. Hello, Michael Snow. How do you do? I'm going to have to skip through a few of these guys. Sorry. The 14th of July is pending, says Tina. Yeah, it's going to be the 7th of July when the election is. But of course, it's the 14th of July when they get the old guillotine. That's when they got the old guillotines out, didn't they? Yeah. Sweeps. Probably Channel 4 sent the hecklers to Nigel's press conference. Well, Sweeps, they did that in Clacton, didn't they? With that actor, didn't they? Are there any backslappers here, said TK. Come on, backslappers. Own up. Who are you? Come on. It's a psyop, man. It's a psyop. Hugo. Well, yeah, I will at some point, Hugo. I'm sorry I haven't, yeah. Hello, Donna. How are you? Donna Pierce. I think I'm a backslapper. All right. Do you think everything is a psyop and everyone is a shill except Andrew Johnson? The answer is yes, you are. All right. The term backslapper seems to be a way to create a consensus of opinion and nudge people into line. It's kind of a joke, David. I don't really mean it in a malicious way. I'm just it's just a way of taking the mickey out of people who go, it's all a psyop and I'm so much more clever than everyone else and I can see it. No one else can. I'm so much more superior. Oh, Taj, have you been following this Jay Slater thing? Very strange occurrences around Tenerife. Did he disappear? It wasn't another 411, was it? Like that guy in Greece. Mosley, the Dr. Mosley, the guy who disappeared in Greece and then came back, sort of a Paulides style. Oh, someone's telling a joke. How many backslappers did it take to change a light bulb? I don't know. How many backslappers did it take to change a light bulb? Oh, sorry, it's TK's joke. I can't wait for the punchline. It's impossible for a backslapper to change a light bulb as they're too busy. The backslappers will say, light bulbs are a psyop, man. Electric light doesn't exist. But most people who think they're clever can't. But I'm so superior to them, I can see it. Right, here we go. Tina Silver. I met Jeremy Thorpe. Yeah, he was like a rival of Margaret Thatcher, I think, in the early days before she started the... I'm just going to keep going here. Sweep says here, oh, this is what you said before. Yeah, they want to maintain socialism is fair and above it. A alt-right revolution ends globalism. You've got to ask yourself, guys, Sweeps and everyone else, why are they... There's people tweeting, oh, everyone in Clacton is racist and stuff like horrible things like this. It's the bloody Ramona phenomenon coming back. So, yes, this is another 2016 because the bloody Ramonas are back. And someone's actually saying, I think it's time for me to leave the UK. I don't feel safe here. I said, well, bugger off then. Go on. I'm not going to stop you. I'll give you a lift to the airport. But, I mean, why are they making such a fuss about a party that lost? And everyone knew they were going to lose. This is weird. It's like, this is why this is such a strange general election. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, yesterday when I went to vote, I did my democratic duty. I went to the polling station. I wrote an article about it. I wrote an article all about my little trip to the polling station. There you see, polling day 2024. No one calls it, they call it election day now. And there's a photo I took outside the polling station. There was not many people there. There's only 3 people in there. It was my lunch hour. And I asked the question, I mean, this is a different kind of polling day to most others. It's like, I've never known an election like this. It has the atmosphere. It had the atmosphere of a holiday or a special occasion. Just notice that Google created a logo for it. So, which is weird. I mean, why? It feels like, God, it's so exciting. It's thrilling. Why? It's not as if the contenders are kind of neck and neck and we don't know which one's going to win. We knew who was going to win. Taj made a prediction dead on 60%. I said it'd be 400 to 500 votes. Everyone knew what was going to happen. It was obvious that Labour were going to win, and then that was it. But for some reason, it's like it became really thrilling. And you know what? And now everyone is, and now there's all this fuss. There's all these attempts to stop the reformolution, as it's been called. I mean, there's all kinds of new words that have come out of this election: reformolution, Starmageddon, etc., etc. Why? Why is everyone so excited about this? And now it's happened. Why is everyone acting as if? I mean, as I said, the winners, Labour. It's a very Pyrrhic and anticlimactic victory, as I said it would be. They got a very small share of the vote, the smallest since at least 1970, when a party's won with that share of the popular vote. They got far less than they did in 2019 with Corbyn, under Corbyn. He actually got many more people voted for Corbyn than voted for Starmer. Yet Starmer gets more seats, and it's like, but at the same time, reform, in terms of literal electoral success, reform were an absolute washout. As I said, 4 MPs are not going to change a single thing. You have no influence at all on voting on bills. So why is everyone so happy that reform has got what they did? And everyone's acting as if reform won. And what's more, the establishment is acting as if reform won. Sweeps, you mentioned the hecklers in the press conference, which was probably organised. There were so many of them there, it must have been organised. Why? Why did they do that when I thought Nigel was supposed to have lost. I thought, well, Nigel obviously won his seat along with 4 others, but, why are they making such a fuss about a party that apparently lost? I think this is about more than just this. The reform popularity is about much more than just this election. I think it's obviously represents some kind of change in culture as well as politics. Maybe they just see lots of white people gathering together and smiling and looking happy and looking hopeful, and that's enough to make them. That's enough to make them think, "Oh God, this is awful. We can't have this. This is horrible. We've got to put a stop to this." So this is why they've gone to such. They took enormous risks and gone to such efforts to try and defame Nigel's party and defame Nigel and everything. Hello, Donna. Maybe I'm a unicorn with a tinfoil hat on my way to work at the moment, down under. Oh, Donna, thanks for tuning in nice and early in the morning. Have a good day. I've been to Australia. It was very nice. Popcorn boxing. It's just the truth, Ben, not backstabbing at all. Yeah, it's just, they would say, I'm just being realistic, man. I'm just being realistic. No, honestly, popcorn, but I mean no offense. It's a joke, really. It's kind of like a light-hearted thing. Alan Raven, how many backslappers did it take to change a light bulb? We got another one now. All right. Taj, light bulbs are a conspiracy, not a psyop. Don't be pedantic, Taj. How many backslappers did it take to change a light bulb then? Oh, we don't get the psyop. Oh, here we go. Popcorn boxing. I'm not more clever than anyone else. I'm just more informed. You're going to get your back. You are definitely going to. That's another thing backslappers always say. I'm just realistic, man. I've just looked into this more than most people, But no offense, man. But you are DJ. You're a member of that exclusive club. I'll tell you who you are. Okay, so I'll come round, Hugo. Yeah, I will. I'm in touch with you on the line. Donna Pierce, Ben, military Mike from around the block says there's a council prepped to take over the USA after removing Biden. Sounds like pretty NWO plan. Donna, it might be the opposite. It might be if they're going to remove Biden, it might be, I don't think Biden will need much effort to remove him. I mean, you simply hold his hand and sort of push him and point towards some exit, and you can kind of carry, just guide him out and then put him into a wheelchair and just take him out to an ambulance, But seriously, this could be a 17th letter thing, It might be the opposite. Okay, just going through these things. After 14 years of the Tories, I think people are getting very excited about nothing. I don't think it's nothing. It's not. Tina, dark journalist, did a show about the continuation of government. I've just started watching that. Yeah, I've just started watching that. All right, just going to have a quick through here. Sweeps fell off a pub stool. Oh dear. A crowd here, chug-a-lug to your show while cheering Nigel. I'll get sober driving home. Sweeps, don't drive, for goodness sake, whatever you do. TK, are you happy about the election? I am happy about it, yeah. I mean, I think it's things worked out all right. I think I'm happy with the haul of seats that Reform got. As I said, when you're talking about the entire parliament, whether you get 4 seats or 14 really makes no difference. That's not what the role of Reform in Parliament is, as I explained. But you get like these there's people all over Twitter patronising, fear-mongering. It is like the bloody Ramonas all over again. It's really annoying. Tina, we live in interesting times. Yes, of course, that is the if you remember from the book, it's certainly, I don't know if it's in the audio book, but that is actually what it says at the beginning of the book. I should get the book, shouldn't I, seeing as we're talking about it. I should get the book we're talking about here, yes. I don't know if is this in the audio book? May you live in interesting times. Ancient Chinese curse. So now let's get back on topic. Tina's read the book, no one else has. So there are going to be some spoilers, as with the review. TK, which book? It's a read party. The Doomsday Conspiracy by Sidney Sheldon. Yeah, the new international bestseller. It's just a read party only. It's never been made a movie. But anyway, I'm just curious to know about where he got into it. So let's just look into this author a little bit, find out a little bit more about it. Tina says, yes, it is in the audiobook. Yeah, may you live in interesting times. I'm glad, Tina, I appreciate that. I'm glad you've read it, and I appreciate you reading it. It is actually, if you just Google it, you'll find it. Yes, The Doomsday Conspiracy by Sidney Sheldon. It's like a 6-hour odd audiobook. Definitely worth watching. So this is Sid. As I said, he seems, I mean, from what you can tell of a photo, you can't know a person, but looking at that photo, I'd say he's likable. He's a nice guy. Or he's dead now, but anyway. He died in January 30th, 2007. Born February 11th, 1917. Worked on Broadway plays, notably writing the successful comedy The Bachelor and The Bobby Soxer in 1947, which earned him an Oscar. He went to work on television where over 20 years, he created The Patty Duke Show in the 60s, I Dream of Jeannie, Heart to Heart. I remember Heart to Heart. I used to watch that. That's had Robert Wagner and I can't remember the lady's name. And they had there's that other guy, the guy who sort of looked after them, their servant. After he turned 50, he began writing best-selling romantic suspense novels. Yeah. So, yeah, romantic suspense. I suppose you could say that's what Doomsday is. But Master of the Game, we talked about Master of the Game, didn't we? This is the story about the Blood Diamonds, which indicates that he'd already started to look at he'd already started to look at possibly alternative ways of looking at the world. The Other Side of Midnight. Now, this is things I've not read. These are books I've not read, but this is another of his books. There's another book from his later period. Set in between the world wars, Noel Page is born to a poor family in Marseille. Let's have a look. Anything? All right. I'm just looking for any sort of conspiratorial elements. You can't tell from a cover because, as I said earlier, just look at the covers of these books. Look at the covers of the Doomsday Conspiracy. Now, there's nothing in these covers. These are the different editions of it. The Doomsday Conspiracy. No, sorry, that's not it. The Doomsday. That's something different. But that's the edition I've got there. That's another edition, and this is another one here. There's nothing really here that indicates any kind of extraterrestrial Roswell alien type. Here's another one. There's several different versions. There's a nurse slumped on the floor. There's nothing here that indicates that this is Here's another one. Look. I can't see anything in these pictures that indicates that they are going to talk about like aliens and ETs. There's no flying saucers or aliens' heads on the covers, which indicates they're deliberately trying to play that down. I don't know why, because if you saw those covers, you wouldn't know. Indeed, even the cover of the edition I've got, you wouldn't know, would you, that that's particularly about aliens? You see, this is the Office of Naval Intelligence with a blue flower line across it. There's nothing there to indicate. There's nothing there to indicate anything to do with aliens or ETs. It's even though that's what it's about. Oh, it's 10.5 hours, Tina. Right, it's 10.5 hours long. Right, you are. Rhiannon. I think I was confusing Sidney Sheldon with Sidney Watson. Apologies to both. Right. TK. Oh, it's about a book. You catch up quickly, TK. You've caught up. Yes, it's about a book. It has been since the introduction a year ago. He's one of these people. TK is one of these people who turns up at the end of a football match and sort of says, "Have they kicked off yet?" Terry Joyce, hello. Not my rabbit hole with Terry Joyce. How are you, Terry? Hope you had a lovely birthday. I mean, well, we spoke earlier privately, and you told me you had a very nice birthday, which is great. So welcome, Terry. Dave Yorkshire. Dave. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it is aliens. Yes, that's kind of what they're doing, isn't it? It's like the Giorgio Tsoukalos. Yeah. Phuket. Keep seeing Sidney Sheldon books. My neighbours dump them in the free take area. Pick one up, mate. Pick one up. Good news, Terry. I'm glad you had a nice day. I'm glad you did. Because I mean, I've only read one Sidney Sheldon book, and I've only seen the miniseries adaptation of Master of the Game, which is very good. That's really good. That's really absorbing. It's like an epic story about this guy called James, this Scottish guy called James Blackwell. He goes to South Africa in the 1880s and makes his fortune in diamonds through various means, and then he starts an empire. His daughter takes it over. It's very good if you've not seen it. It's on YouTube. Let's carry on anyway. Sidney Sheldon was born to Sidney Sheldon in Chicago, Illinois. His parents of Ukrainian Jewish ancestry. Oh, like Zelensky. I don't know if they're a relation. Were Asher Otto Sheldon, manager of a jewelry store, and Natalie Marcus, age 10. Sidney, all right. What do you mean? She was 10 years old when she had him? No, surely not. Oh, sorry. Sorry. There's a full stop in the way. Ooh, very tricky misunderstanding there. At age 10, Sidney made his first sale. He wrote a poem and earned $5. Very nice one, Sid. Start early. He graduated from East High School in Denver, Colorado, and attended Northwestern University. Contributed short plays to drama groups and had to drop out after 6 months to support his family. So he goes on, he talks about how he fought in World War II, like a lot of people were. He hurt his back in the war, was discharged because of a recurring slip disc. Ooh, painful. Nasty, yeah. In 1937, Sheldon moved to Hollywood, where he's reviewed scripts and collaborated on a number of B movies. Broadway. Sheldon began writing musicals for the Broadway stage, and while continuing to write screenplays for MGM and Paramount. He earned a reputation as a prolific writer. Well, he is. I mean, we'll go through his his library, his list of books in a minute. If you think I've written 5 books, but he's written quicker than me. He received a Tony Award in 1959 for his musical Redhead, starring Gwen Verdon. His other stage plays were Alice in Arms, The King of New York, The Judge, Roman Candle. Roman Candle has been adapted into a novel. All right. Films. We mentioned The Bachelor of Bobby Soxer. He earned a Oscar in in 1947 he got an Oscar for that. He wrote the film Easter Parade in 1948, co-authored it. In 1950, Annie Get Your Gun, which both features the songs of Irving Berlin. Some of his other writing credits: South of Panama, Gambling Daughters, Dangerous Lady, Borrowed Hero, Mr. District Attorney in the Carter Case, Fly By Night, She's in the Army, Nancy Goes Rio, Three Guys Named Mike, No Questions Asked. It's a whole load of films. I've not seen any of these, I don't think. I've not seen any of these. Television, right. Sidney decided to try his hand early in the television age. I suppose I needed money, he remembered. I met Patty Duke one day at lunch, and I produced the Patty Duke Show, and I did something no one else in TV ever did. For 7 years, I wrote almost every single episode of the series. Sheldon cast this actress called Helen, Patty Duke in several of his things. In 1965, Sheldon created and produced and wrote I Dream of Jeannie. The reason I'm going through all these guys, I'm looking for some clues that I'm interested to where he got this idea for the Doomsday Conspiracy. Where did he get this idea from? The Doomsday, of course, this was towards the end of this was in his late period, but I'm going through his early period now and his middle period too. Yes, Heart to Heart. He created and wrote for the series Heart to Heart, starring Robert Wagner and Stephanie Powers. Stephanie Powers, that's her, yeah. In 1969, he wrote his first novel. All right, he got into novels later on then. The Naked Face. All right, he got into novels later on. It's about this was published in 1969. Mr. Judd Stevens, successful Manhattan psychoanalyst, must face the horrifying prospect that someone is trying to kill him. First, John Hanson. John Hanson. There's a real person called John Hanson that I know. I mentioned him, didn't I? My Lapis thing. A patient trying to overcome his homosexuality is murdered. This sounds like a right penny dreadful. It sounds all right. Okay. There's nothing in there, I don't think. Obviously, this is his next novel, The Other Side of Midnight. We talked about that. This is what he says here. I try to write my books so the reader can't put them down, he explained in a 1982 interview. I try to construct them so when the reader gets to the end of it, he or she has to read just one more chapter. It's the technique of the old Saturday afternoon serial. Leave the guy hanging on the edge of the cliff at the end of the chapter. Of course, that's where the term cliffhanger comes from. Most of his readers were women. Oh, right. This is that's interesting because like Tina and Rhiannon were talking about how, sort of chick lit sort of thing. He wrote sort of chick lit. Asked why, and he said, I like to write about women who are talented and capable, but most important, retain their femininity. Women have tremendous power. Their femininity, because men can't do without it. Right, yeah. Books were Sheldon's favourite medium. I love writing books. Movies are a collaborative medium, and everyone is second-guessing you. But when you do a novel, you're on your own. It's a freedom that doesn't exist in any other medium. I do wonder then why he went into it so late. I mean, he didn't start writing books until like the late 60s. I don't know. You'd think he'd go into it earlier. They said he was like almost 50 when he started. It said earlier he was almost 50 when he wrote his first novel. He went from screenwriting to a novel. He's the author of 18 novels, which have sold over 300 million copies. That's a lot, isn't it? Personal life. He married his first wife, Jane Kaufman Harding, 1949. And regrettably, in less than a month, Jane and I had realised we'd made a mistake. We spent the next 9 months trying to make the marriage work. Maybe that's where he gets the ideas for these hot-headed romances. He was married for 30 years to Georgia Curtite, a stage and film actress. And she was an actress in some of his plays. Sheldon married Alexandra Joyce Kostoff, a former child actress, in Las Vegas in 1989. This is right. Sheldon suffered with bipolar. He struggled with bipolar disorder for years. He contemplated suicide at the age of 17, talked out of it by his father, who found him with a bottle of whiskey and several bottles of sleeping pills. Oh my God. As detailed in his autobiography published in 2005, The Other Side of Me. That's just before he died. A resident of Palm Springs, California. All right, not far from where I was a few weeks ago. Sheldon died on January the 30th, 2007 of pneumonia at Eisenhower Medical Center in Rancho Mirage, California, 12 days before his 90th birthday. His remains were cremated and his ashes are interred at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery. All right, that's interesting because, of course, that's Contact in the Desert is just a short distance from there. So here's his novel series, The Other Side of Midnight, Memories of Midnight. Ambitious Women. This is 1992. The Stars Shine Down. The Best Laid Plans, 1997. The Sky is Falling, 2001. Novels not in series. The Naked Rage of Angels, Master of the Game. If Tomorrow Comes. What's that about? I was going to go see Crime Fiction Mafia. All right. Windmills of the Gods. Interesting cover, but of course the covers don't mean anything, as I've just shown. Plot summary. Mary Ashley, professor at Kansas University, offered an ambassadorship, which she rejects. Let's have a look. Blah, blah, blah. She's sent to Romania behind the Iron Curtain. Right. Nothing here about aliens in Windmills of the Gods. Okay. The Sands of Time, 1988. This is the book he wrote before Doomsday Conspiracy. An action novel. All right. You can see that the cover, again, the cover doesn't show anything, does it? Look, here's the cover. See, what does that tell you about it? You get this. You have a particular font here, but it doesn't actually tell you anything about the book, does it? It's like the cover, one of the covers of the Doomsday Conspiracy edition. I don't know why do they do that. I don't know why they do that. All right, so that's the Sands of Time. Well, hang on, I just closed it. That's the one he published in 1988. In Pamplona, Spain, in 1976, the Basque people are fighting the Spanish government. ETA leader, that's the militant Basque separatists, Jaime Morrow, along with his friends Ricardo and Felix, escape from prison. Sabotage bull running exhibit. What's this again? Jaime's hiding in a convent, the Cistercian convent. Oh, right. There's a sort of romance thing here. Right. Okay. Nothing about aliens there. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing about aliens. Aliens. It's quite a long, complicated plot, this particular story has. No, nothing about aliens. Okay, so then there's the Doomsday Conspiracy 1991. Then finally there's Nothing Lasts Forever. This is his book after, he published in 1994. Medical thriller. Oh, right. Tina, you and I were talking about Tess Gerritsen. Yes, that's interesting. Because this is a medical thriller. The medical thriller tells the story of 3 female doctors trying to prove themselves in a profession dominated by men. Oh, it's not one of those, is it? It's not one of those, evil white male sort of thing. Each of them has their own story, but they're intertwined with another. But suddenly there's chaos. One dies, another is about to get the hospital shut down, and the third faces the death penalty for murder. Right. Nothing about. This has been adapted into a CBC miniseries. Nothing about aliens in that. Right. The next one is Morning, Noon, and Night, 1995. Here we are. The Stanford family is one of the most respected. Behind the facade of fame and glamour lies a hidden web of blackmail, drugs, and murder. Drowns while cruising on a yacht near Corsica. Funeral in Boston. Strikingly beautiful young woman appears. Is she an imposter? Paris, New York, opulent, smoke and mirrors, surprise ending. Nothing about aliens. Can I just ask you in chat? Have any of you ever read a Sidney Sheldon book that's not the Doomsday Conspiracy? Could you let me know if you have? I won't have time to go through all of your. Unfortunately, I won't have time to go through all of your comments. Unfortunately, but has anyone read a Sidney Sheldon book that's not the Doomsday Conspiracy? Okay, so I'm just curious. Tell me your dreams, 1998. All right, here we go. This is about dissociative identity disorder and split personality. All right, because he of course suffers from his own mental health problems. The main characters of the book are Ashley Patterson, introverted workaholic. The three women do not get along because they're dissimilar natures. Ashley fears someone is following her. Someone writes, "You will die" on her mirror with lipstick. All right. A police officer is assigned. She requests a police escort, but the next morning, the police officer assigned to this duty is found dead in her apartment. 2 other murders have already taken place with an identical pattern. All the murdered men had been castrated and were having sex before being murdered. Oh, all right. That sounds like a right penny dreadful, doesn't it? Right, nothing about aliens here. All right, and then he published his final novel in 2004. Are You Afraid of the Dark? 4 people die separately in 4 different accidents in 4 different places across the world. Oh, right, now maybe we're getting somewhere. Soon, 2 find themselves under a ruthless attack wherever they go. Now, this is a bit like Doomsday, because in the Doomsday Conspiracy, there's a spree of murders, which are meant to look, but they're done by intelligence services in the different countries, and they're designed not to look connected, but of course they are. All right, nothing about aliens in that either. Well, it appears, ladies and gentlemen, that for some reason, Doomsday Conspiracy was like a flash in the pan. Oh, Tina has seen the film of The Other Side of Midnight, right? Is there anything about aliens in that, Tina? Let's have a look. Has anyone? No one's read it. No, apart from that, has anyone read Sidney Sheldon? Oh, Rhiannon says, "My beloved isn't a woo-woo either." No, he's actually very much a skeptic, isn't he? Yes, I know him as well as Rhiannon. He's very much a skeptic, I'd say. But he does tolerate our little things. Right. Okay. Tina says the covers are made discreet so women could read them on the tube without people making judgments about the books. Oh, I see. Right. That explains, Tina, that maybe the publisher decided to do that for that reason. Because, yeah, I mean, let me just have a look again. Because obviously, as you said, most of his readers were female. He wrote what you could call chick lit mostly, and so presumably the publisher wanted to target his existing fan base. As a result, he didn't want to like. So, for example, there's other books I could say. Yeah, there's other books like which are very, very similar in terms of plot, like this one you may have heard of. This is very different, isn't it? And there's other books. I'll just go to. Let's just have a look at some of the others. Hang on. Great novels and UFOs. Right. Okay, guys. So you see, I was interested to know why it didn't have a cover like one of these. Well, most of these aren't novels. These are like there aren't actually that many novels about UFOs. There are a few. I mean, I've written one, but they're not that many. You see, these are the kind of covers I would expect. Oh, The Road to Roswell, a novel. All right, you see, by Connie Willis. Okay, this is I've not read this one. The Road to Roswell, a novel. Right, that's good reason. Let's have a look. Sorry, I normally leave this to the end of the live stream when I do my own private look at things, but yeah. A delightful novel about alien invasions, conspiracies, and incredibly silly things people are willing to believe. Oh, right. When level-headed Francie arrives in Roswell for her college roommate's UFO-themed wedding, complete with true believer bridegroom, with a true believer bridegroom, she can't help but roll her eyes at all the wide-eyed talk about aliens, which obviously don't exist. Then she's abducted by one. Oh, right. I'll click want to read on that, I think. Yes. Looks very good. Okay, but anyway, you get the point here, you see. This is what I was expecting. This is what if I was publishing that book, I'd make it look something like this, but instead it looks like this. And this. And this. But Tina's actually provided a good explanation for this. Tina's provided a very good explanation for this, which basically because most of his the publisher is thinking about his existing fan base. How do you get them to buy the book? So you give it a cover which is very much like the others. DJ, I just let the cat out and it's not nice outside. Right, a Heineck can't go outside because if I let Heineck out, he might run off. He hasn't been here long enough. Tina, Robert Heinlein wrote a good book, Friday, about a female alien. Tina, you've read Friday. I love that book. That's brilliant. That is a brilliant book. Friday by Robert Heinlein. I didn't know you read that. Oh God, we could have had a good talk about that book. Well, she's not an alien. She's like an artificial person. She's like a constructed person. Like she says, my father was a knife and my mother was a test tube. My father was a knife, meaning she's created in a laboratory. She's got like superhuman strength as a result. But despite the fact that she's not considered not a real person, she's actually very sort of sentimental and she's got a lot of humanity in her, which is part of the irony of the story. Tina, I had no idea. Goodness me. When I met you, we could have had a lovely talk about that. Dave Yorkshire. Oh, you've read Heinlein too. Starship Troopers and Stranger in a Strange Land. Yeah, Stranger in a Strange Land is one of his most famous books that I've never read. I've read Starship Troopers. I thought I was a bit silly. It was a bit stupid. It was nowhere near as good as Friday. People who read both can't believe it's actually by the same author, even though, of course, Starship Troopers was like in 1959 and Friday was 1982. So he wrote Friday. He was very old by then, and he died a few years later. So by 1982, he changed. So Tin, you've read most of Heinlein. Yeah, maybe I should read Stranger in a Strange Land. After reading, I've read another one. I've read three Heinlein books. I read Farmer in the Sky as well. That's good. That's very good. But Starship Troopers was a bit of a silly sort of like rather over the top novel which didn't really make much sense. But it was turned into a very good film by Paul Verhoeven, which is kind of a spoof, really. It's the adaptation by Verhoeven is kind of a spoof. It's a satire, really. Use wood-based cat litter, said Rhiannon. It comes in pellet form, doesn't smell if you change it, and pick out the poo straight away. Oh, we've got like gravel. We're using gravel with Heineck. Heineck's not going to be here forever though, because yeah, he's going to be gone. But anyway, guys, and what else? Let's have a look at my notes. Have I covered everything? I must say I was a bit annoyed with Richard Tice because he after cancelling like Bo and he cancelled Bo from Podcast The Lotus Eaters and loads of other people because Hope Not Hate told him to. And then, but it appears that Reform actually reversed that policy very, very sort of like quietly behind the scenes. They reversed that policy because then before you know it, like Tice, but then Ben Habib is on Times Radio saying they're telling him to get rid of this guy. Let me find the details here. Did I mention this on the live stream the other night? I don't know, but they seem to have reversed their original policy, which is hopeful. Because I was going to like boycott that party because of the cancelling. Yeah, they cancelled. Here we go. I wrote an article here. I'll just show you this so you can just go and read it at your leisure. Because whoops, you can read this at your leisure. There you go. But basically, this is I wrote reforming reform. I had a debate with someone, or like a discussion with someone here in the comments section. Yeah, because I said that I was quite impressed with Reform UK, but then we had like Richard Tice when he was leader, but this is just before Nigel came along. Well, firstly, Daniel Bostock. Daniel Bostock used to be a UKIP activist, and he said he was very dubious about Farage, and he said that like in the old days that he'd really treated them badly. Daniel Bostock, you may remember from my Nottinghamshire Roswell videos, and also one of the ones I did about the field one I did about the incident with the All Fall Down incident. I was also a bit suspicious how Farage was tolerated quite a lot. I think because if you look at it, he's been treated very differently from people like Jeremy Corbyn or Donald Trump, although that seems to be changing now, I must say. In fact, it's only in the last couple of weeks they seem to have turned against him really seriously. But then, where was it here? But then what happened was when Richard Tice was running it, and then we had the council elections 2 months ago, Hate Not Hope sort of went and contacted him and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Tice, you have these rather unpleasant people in your party. These rather unpleasant people that you really shouldn't have in your party. It's really, really not right. We don't like it." Which article was it in? I can't even remember what article it was in now. Oh dear. This is it. Yeah, this is it. Right. Richard Tice had basically dropped a whole load of candidates because Hate Not Hope told them to, and I mean it's really kind of like that. I thought was a horrible betrayal. I mean, Bo from Lotus Eaters, load of other people. Bo had apparently said some nasty things about Scottish people. As a result, Hope Not Hate had a go at him, and then there were several other people, and what happened was I think Winston Churchill. I'm not a big fan of Winston Churchill. I think he's overrated, but he did say something very important. Once he said that appeasement is like feeding the crocodile in the hope that it will eat you last. And this is essentially what Tice was doing. Tice was trying to appeal to people who hate him and want to destroy his party. And he says, if only I can make myself in a way that they will approve of. If only I can turn this party into something that they will approve of, then that's nice. I want to try and make myself acceptable to these people. I want to go cap in hand to the people, my enemies, and say, I'll change. I'll be what you want me to be, And this was he thought that would work. I mean, Hate Not Hope didn't actually. Nick Lowles didn't come along and say, "Oh, thanks very much, Richard. Okay, you've done all this. We'll leave you alone now." No, they came. They said, "Right, well, here's another list of people who want you to do this," and they were gloating. Nick Lowles and that. They were gloating on their own website about how they control bloody. They control reform, and they're right to. Raven, he's quite slick and over polished, yeah. And then what happened after that was that he had a bit of a grilling on GB News, actually, and he bloody deserved it. Nick Lowles, says Dave Yorkshire, yeah, horrible little man, disgusting little man. Loves to destroy people's lives by telling everyone who they are. Even somebody who is mentally ill and suffer like millennial woes, Colin Robinson, doxing him and putting his face on the biggest newspaper in Scotland when he's a recovering psychiatric patient. They've got no conscience at all. And But the good news, and what happened was, Ben Habib was on Times Radio, and he said, I was very encouraged actually, because it was the usual story. Do you know, we want to let you, the presenter spent the whole time saying, we want to make you aware of the checkered past of one of your election candidates, the one standing for Bexhill and Battle. This is a guy called Ian Gribben. It is the usual story. Mr. Gribben, he made some kind of wrong think comment at some time in the past in a relevant context. Then he stands for the party in the election, and the leadership are informed about it. What happens then is Gribben apologises, and as far as Reform are concerned, this is where the big change comes, because then Ben Habib says, well, as far as we're concerned, he's apologised, so that's the end of the matter. And then Farage was in a similar interview, and he declined to submit as well. He said the same thing. No, we're not going to deselect him. We're going to stand by him. And I must say it was a bit cringeworthy, because Richard Tice was standing beside Farage at the time with this. He was just nodding along with this really innocent smile on his face. Now, but that's progress. It means that when Nigel got back, they must have sat down, had a little quiet discussion, and then just reversed the policy without in a private way, in a non-public way. They reversed that policy. That is this policy of instinctively throwing anyone under the bus their enemies point to. But I still think they should go further. They should apologise to Bo and all the other outcasts. They should offer them all their nominations back at the council elections next year. And so I think that would only be fair if they do that. Rhiannon says up here, Ben has already bonded with Hynek. Yeah, it's going to be. I'll be sad when he goes. You know. David Yorkshire, Stranger is interesting, although its premises are now a bit silly. Dave, maybe, I mean, I've only read 2 of his early books, Heinlein. It could be that he was a little bit kind of like a bit over the top, a bit kitsch in his early years. It could be that. It could be that. I've not read that book, of course. Oh, Dave Yorks, you used to get into his Hall of Fame. Have you been on the? You're on the list, David, are you? Are you in that annual report? Are you mentioned in the State of Hate? Yeah. Sargon got in there, didn't he? And there's a couple of Simon Parkes was in it. I mean, maybe I'll be in it one year. Everyone wants to be in it. You know, it's the people they think they're smearing. Everyone says, oh, there's even people writing to Nick Lowles and saying, have you heard about me? Just take a look at how evil I am. Do you think I should be in next year's State of Hate report? No. State of Hate. What a load of... They're the ones who do all the hating. That's the thing. They're the ones who feel hatred. Not us. Oh, what's this? Jordan Peterson interviewed Nigel. Did anyone else catch that? He asked for his opinion on climate change. No, I mean, again, Richard Tice was asked about climate change. He didn't have the balls just to say, look, this whole thing has been invented by people who want to create a world government. Why didn't he just do that? Instead, he ummed and ahed about it and saying, yeah, well, the climate's always changed and things like that, and the climate does change. And, you know, I wish they wouldn't be so evasive. Just tell it like it is. Anyway, guys, Tina, do you want to... Well, let's just go back on topic for a moment. I just got to go for your insight. Tina, do you want to say anything about the book? Any more you want to say about the book? Because if anyone else wants to listen to the audio book, I mean, you'd be very good. It'd be good to do so. I was actually looking at it the other day. Here we are. Let's just see if I can find it. Right, let's just have a look. It was down here somewhere. I'll search for it. Hang on a sec. There we go. It was Tina. Well, Tina actually sent me a link. Here we go. The Doomsday. It's not a movie. It's never been made into a movie. Here it is. There you go.
The book could be yours. Leslie Mothership.
And it's also got subtitles here. Yeah. Do listen to it. Anyway, it's on topic. Yeah, we kind of gone. We always go off topic, don't we? Oh, the football's gone to penalties, has it? Oh, dearie me, I hate penalties. Penalties are horrible. They should have the golden goal. I mean, or do a replay. They used to do replays in the ties. You know, penalties are like horrible. They make it so much painful. They say it's so painful for the loser, but it's anticlimactic for the winner. Yeah. Anyway, guys, Tina, do you want to say anything more about the book? If you're still watching, do you want to say anything more about it? Nobody. Does anyone? I mean, does anyone else want to say anything about the Doomsday Conspiracy, or indeed, do you want to say anything about the election? Because we've gone on to the election quite a bit, haven't we? Yeah. It's like Phuket penalty shootouts are bloody luck, isn't it? It's like you might as well toss a coin. Would it kill them to have a replay? Would it kill them to have a golden goal? I mean, if necessary, they could bring on extra subs, I think everyone's gone quiet. I think does that mean we're all out of ideas? No. Does anyone want to talk about the book? Tina, do you want to say anything more about it? Because you've read it. Do you want to add any more comments? Or does anyone else want to say anything? I think I'm just gonna. I think that's it. Let's have a look. The Romans will play until death. They had gladiators. Yeah. Oh man, it's Anyway, guys, I think that's it. So I just want to say a big thank you to you. It's been a good live stream. Obviously, like we discussed many subjects, like we do. I always say, I think everyone's gone off to watch the football, to watch the penalties. I always say that we discuss related subjects as well as the main topic. But I think we've made a few points about the book, and indeed, the author Sidney Sheldon. We talked about Robert Heinlein, who's another really, really good science fiction writer. But at the end of the day, I mean, basically, I would say this book is really, really perfect. It's a perfect sort of like UFO Roswell enthusiast kind of book. I think reading this was when I first heard about the Roswell incident, and at that time, I think this may have been what really started me to get seriously into conspiracies and stuff, because I was aware of UFOs. I was interested in UFOs before then. Even as a little kid, I liked them. I read von Daniken, but this idea of crash retrievals never occurred to me. It never did until then, even though it was 10 years earlier. It was just over 10 years earlier that the first book about it came out. I've got a copy of the original Roswell incident book. But it just seemed to be a flash in the pan. There's nothing in... Oh, Rhiannon arrived. All right, Rhiannon. Night, Rhiannon. Yeah, you're going to sleep. Cool. I'm going to finish in a minute, Rhiannon. I'm going to finish. But thank you very much for staying up and for taking part. There's nothing in his bibliography that indicates, what do you call it? Not a bibliography. A list of books someone's written, and their oeuvre. That's a good word. There's nothing there that indicates, apart from this, there's nothing that indicates in his other material that he had an interest in this sort of thing. But then it seems to be a flash in the pan. He wrote one book about this, and he just went back to his other books. But he really researched it. He met the Hertax, and he researched them. He researched with them, and things like that. It's like, I'm just like, where did he get this idea from? Why did he suddenly decide to just make this idea now, to make this thing now? Maybe I should read his autobiography. Maybe there's a clue in there. Because he wrote it in 2005, just 2 years before he died. He wrote it in autobiography. Maybe there's a clue in that. fascinating. I mean, he seems to be a fascinating guy. We can't ask him now, unfortunately, unless someone channels him. Do you know any mediums who might be able to get hold of him? But anyway, I want to say a big thank you to 69 Phuket, Rhiannon Raven, Popcorn Boxing, DJ B2, and Nothing As It Seems, David Yorkshire. Anyone else? Tina Silver. Space Cadet is very good. I've not read that. I've not read Space Cadet. I said I've only read those 3 books. And who else is up there? A few other people. Donna Pierce, TK, and anyone else? Anyone else I've left off? Thank you very much, Johnny Fettler. Oh, Neil Peel has turned up just at the end. Hi, Neil. How you doing? And Johnny Fettler, thank you very much. Johnny Fettler, good night. David Brown, how you doing? Oh, we're just finishing, David. Sorry. Anyone else? Thank you very much, all of you, for watching. There's a new video coming very soon. In fact, I'm doing an Alt Tech exclusive in the next couple of days, probably in the next couple of days, and then I think we're time for another comments reply video. So that's what's coming up in the next week or so. So look, check out the channel. Stay tuned, and I will provide some more material for you very soon. As always, when I do Alt Tech exclusives, I always put like a kind of humorous advert in the. I always put a humorous advert on YouTube for it, an ironic humorous advert. So, ladies and gentlemen, Hapanro TV viewers, thank you very much for watching this live stream. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.